Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama
It was good. I think it was a great play by my teammate again. I was playing with Sarah and then so they may not be able to play. It just happened, and really happy with the outcome for sure. That's amazing. I think it's so special every time I come back here. People that are surrounding me and my family, my friends, and I think it just shows the support I have every time I come back here, and they show it again tonight.
7:36 TSN 690. It's Weekend Game Plan with Matthew Ross. We're here every Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 9 a.m. Still to come, Habs breakfast segment. We'll have Amanda Stein here in studio, who was covering the game last night at the Bell Center, and Andrew Zadarnowski from Habs Eyes on the Prize. But right now we're joined by TSN 690's own Robyn Flynn. She's not in Montreal, though. She's on her own northern adventure, but boy, what an adventure. You heard the clips yesterday, the Les Canadiennes on the road, 11-0 win yesterday, a hat trick from Marie-Philippe Poulin in her region, back near her region. How you doing, Robyn?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for joining us. Is it still the same time there as well? Just kidding.
Oh, yeah, same time zone. I'm only like 4 hours east of Montreal.
I know. I was just showing my narrow-mindedness.
It is very rural and very, very Quebecois out here.
Now, are there other Anglophones out there, or is it just you?
You know, it's funny. We went out for dinner after the game last night, and like even in Montreal, my instinct is always to speak French first. You know, It's just habit. We grew up like that, right? But the people I'm with went and spoke English first, and I was like, oh my God, there's nobody that's going to be able to speak English. And the waiter at the bar spoke perfect English to us and gave us an English menu, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Wow. I did not expect that. All right.
Me neither.
All right, so big win yesterday for the Les Canadiennes. Marie-Philippe Poulin, obviously the center of attention. Best player on the ice, safe to say, yesterday, or no?
Oh, absolutely. But that was clear before the puck had even been dropped. You know, when they introduced her, they saved her for last. We're in Saint-Georges-de-Beauce, which is about 20 minutes away from where Marie-Philippe Poulin grew up. And they introduced her, and all her friends and family were in the crowd. Huge, sold-out crowd. Huge pop for her. And then she won the opening face-off, and people cheered for that. And then she scores one, and then she scores two. And I was like, she's for sure going to get the hat trick. Like, I knew it was obvious. And there's something about watching Marie-Philippe Poulin play that when she gets the puck and skates it into the offensive zone, you know she's going to score. You can just tell. Like, she's made up her mind, okay, I'm going to score now. And you're like, okay, great. So I was in the press box, and there was a guy next to me. He was looking down at his phone. I just elbowed him. I said, look up, she's about to score. And sure enough, like 2 seconds later, she completes the hat trick, you know? And she makes it look so unbelievably easy. I feel like she could have probably scored 2 more. But she was choosing to pass the puck to her teammates so that they could score. And it's just, she's so much fun to watch that I feel so lucky every time I get to watch her play.
Now, this is an area that probably has never hosted a CWHL game. What kind of arena, what kind of facilities, what kind of crowd did you have?
Amazing arena. It's relatively new. I would say it's nicer than the one that the Canadiennes play at on a regular basis. It's huge. It holds over 2,000 people, and it wraps completely around the rink, not just like one side. So it's a gorgeous facility that, you know, it's home mostly to kids. They don't have any professional leagues here. But it was such a big deal. They hosted a game after the Sochi Olympics. Marie-Philippe Poulin brought a bunch of the girls from Team Canada to St. Georges so that they could play a game, and they absolutely ate it up. So it was part of the reason she really wanted to come back again. But this was like the biggest thing to happen to Saint-Georges-de-Beauce in a long time. They had outside a rink, you know, big flashing lights with Marie-Philippe Poulin's name and Les Canadiennes, and, you know, there were signs everywhere, and, you know, every hotel was completely booked. It's just the biggest thing to happen to this town in quite some time. So the vibe is just incredible. This wonderful woman I met yesterday who works for the city spent time calling every single girl who plays hockey in the region to make sure that she was at that game yesterday, because that's the most important part, is for those little girls to see these women playing hockey and knowing that that's something that little girls can do, because it's still not, you know, little girls don't realize that that's something that they can aspire to be. There are no professional or, you know, amateur girls leagues out here. We have them in Montreal now. Girls can play with girls, but out here, if girls want to play hockey, they still have to play with the boys. So we still have some room to grow, and this is definitely a huge step forward.
Robyn, we were talking in the newsroom a few weeks ago, off air, and you mentioned a wager, or I guess a pledge, whereas you would donate money for every goal Poulin scored this year, right? Are you regretting that, considering she's currently leading the CWHL in goals?
Particularly since they don't offer the penny anymore.
Yeah. I knew what I was getting into. She led the league last year. She won the Angela James Bowl in scoring. So I figured it was going to be an expensive year. But yeah, it's a really great initiative started by Habs Eyes on the Prize. They're doing something called Habs Money on the Board, and you can make a pledge basically for anything you want. I have a friend who's donating 47 cents for every Alexander Radulov point. So you can be cute with it, stuff like that. But you can also include Les Canadiennes, which is amazing. So I decided that for every goal she scores, I'm going to give $2 to the Montreal Canadiens Children's Foundation. So she had 3 last night, and I gave her the gears about it a little bit. She knows about the wager. It was 2 weeks ago when they had their home opener. She scored 2 goals on Saturday, and I told her about it, and she came up to me afterwards when I turned off, my recorder, to apologize for scoring a pair of goals because it was going to cost me money. So that's just the kind of person she is. She's so sweet.
Chatting with Robyn Flynn, who's in north of Montreal today in a region affectionately known as the Beauce. The Canadiennes will take on the Boston Blades once again today at 1:30. Looking at some of the stats from the game, I mean, you and I have talked about this before, the split between the North American Women's Hockey League, the Canadian Women's Hockey League means that some of the teams aren't as strong as they used to be. Has this Boston Blades team taken a step back even from last year when they weren't good? What's going on when you see an 11-0 score?
They're actually, I know you see that scoreline and it's jarring, right? We're not used to it. It happens in the NHL too, right? Habs lost 10-0 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's not just in the women's league. But yeah, the Boston Blades are going through a really, really tough time. 2 years ago, they won the Clarkson Cup. And then with about 2 weeks left to go before the start of last season, there was kind of like a coup d'etat, and all the American players abandoned the Boston Blades and went and joined the NWHL, and most of them went to the Boston Pride. So the team had 2 weeks, basically, to build a new roster when they had lost over 90% of their squad. So last year was really rough, really, really rough. They only scored 1 goal against the Canadiennes all season in 6 games. They were outscored 44-1 in 6 games. It was crazy. So even though they lost 11-0 yesterday, there were some bright spots. So they acquired a goaltender last week via trade named Jetta Ratcliffe. She came in relief after the 7th goal, after Lauren Dahm had given up 7. And I thought she looked really strong. Maybe her stats won't suggest that. She made, I think, 17 saves on 21 shots. It's like an 800 save percentage. It doesn't look the greatest, but I thought she looked really good. She made some great saves. It's, when you're facing Marie-Philippe Poulin and Caroline Ouellette, it's really jarring. So I thought she looked good. Also, they have a rookie named Tutino, who was outstanding. She probably had the best scoring chances for Boston. She had a really neat, nifty move where she threw the puck in on Charlene Labonte, picked up her own rebound for a wraparound. I mean, Charlene Labonte is too good to allow anything to get past her. It was her first shutout of the season. But there are some bright spots with this team. You can see that they are slowly rebuilding. They still have an Olympian on their roster. Their captain, Tara Watchorn, plays for Team Canada. So, they're definitely in rebuilding mode, and I feel for them. But to be able to come out game after game with scorelines like that, they don't forfeit. They don't put, there's no mercy rule. They work really, really hard. And I hope we get to a place where they're competitive again. Because a few years ago, that was the Calgary Inferno. They were losing games by scorelines like that. And then last year, they won the Clarkson Cup. So you never know.
Robyn, Les Canadiennes are now in first place, 5-0, but right behind them are the Calgary Inferno at 4-0. I believe they play December 10th at the Bell Center, right? So are the Inferno Les Canadiennes' biggest challenger?
Absolutely. Those are the 2 best teams in the CWHL, so that's the absolute perfect matchup for their Heritage Classic at the Bell Center on December 10th. Montreal and Calgary played each other in the Clarkson Cup final last year, and to be honest, I thought Montreal had that one. I thought it was going to be an easy walk in the park, and I think the team did too, and they ended up losing. I think it was 8-3 was the final. And Calgary just really took it to them. They're ridiculously talented. Most of Team Canada plays for Calgary, and that's, Team Canada, Hockey Canada is centralized out of Calgary, so it's not really a surprise, but they have a terrifyingly good roster. Between the pipes, they just acquired Emerence Mashmeyer, who is a name a lot of people didn't know until like 6 months ago at the World Championships when she busted onto the scene and was absolutely ridiculous. They also have Geneviève Lacasse, the queen of saves. She played with the Boston Blades last season. She went there via trade in the offseason. They have so much offense. Haley Wickenheiser plays there as well. They are Montreal's toughest opponent. Last season, those two teams were undefeated until they faced each other, and then they split that weekend series. There's a lot of rivalry there. I know Montreal is really not happy that they lost to them in the final. Charlene Labonte has now played in 3 straight Clarkson Cup finals and hasn't won one yet. It's the only thing she hasn't done in her career. So I know she wants one really bad. That December 10th matchup, the first time they're going to see each other since the Clarkson Cup, it's going to be heated, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take my girls to that matchup. Looking forward to that. Robyn Lisa Flynn, by the way, if you want to follow her on Twitter, she'll be tweeting about the game today. 1:30 start, Canadiennes and the Boston Blades. Is there an online broadcast in case people are interested?
No, the streams this year, they used to stream a whole bunch of games last year. Now they do one a weekend, and it's always on Saturdays, but they're free. Last year, you used to have to pay to subscribe for the season, but now they're just available for free on YouTube, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there's no stream of the game, unfortunately, so follow along. I live tweet everything that happens, and the video, and I was Facebook Live for a little bit yesterday too. So if you're following me on social media, you can stay up to date.
All right, I hope the Wi-Fi is good for you there.
Oh yeah, pretty good Wi-Fi actually. I was impressed. Better than the Bell Center's Wi-Fi.
All right, thanks so much. Enjoy the game, Robyn. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.